Well, that was a pretty successful test drive in the last video. I'm pretty happy with how everything works. So I need to finalize a few things here. I still have all the cotter pins on this linkage to bend properly. So I'm going to do that real quick. The tire's in the way for me to get in there to do that. So I'm going to put on the parking brake, make it a little bit easier to get to. Well, the thing seems to be stuck. I don't remember that happening. It looks like the arm's interfering with that linkage there. So it's 'cause I pulled out on that thing. Look at that, it works if I push back on that. So the larger diameter of that linkage is getting in the way if it's moved out. Well, that ain't gonna work. So that's 'cause I decided to move the parking brake lever on the inside of this casting. Seemed like a good idea at the time, but obviously that was a mistake. So that needs to be on the outside, so that can't happen. Alright, gotta fix it. I'm gonna take it all apart and put the parking brake lever on the outside, like it was in the first place. This piece just barely comes out of there. You gotta have it lined up with that gap where the transmission bolts to the frame. Well, that piece looks bent there, and the reason I put it behind the arm in the first place is because the end of it was touching on that brake band bolt. So I'm gonna go straighten it some, maybe bend it the other way a bit. Okay, now that I got it back to where I thought I had it before, this all seems to work pretty good. So I'm going to finalize these adjustments. So this shorter rod, you can consider just the parking brake adjustment, because that's really all that matters when you're adjusting it. If you get that right, then it'll be in range for the rest of it to work. And you want to do this short rod before you do the long rod. So I'm going to keep tightening this until I can't really get it to work with my hand, because you're going to be using your foot. So the only way to really adjust it is to get on there and work it with your foot. So I'm going to keep tightening until it locks in when I have a reasonable amount of brake pressure there. Whatever's going to keep it from rolling downhill, for instance. Because that's the job of the parking brake. Then when you push the pedal down again, it should be easy to release. That's a little bit tight there, so I'm going to back it off some. Alright, that works good there. It clicks in when I want it to, and it don't catch when it's not supposed to. Now the only cotter pin I have left is this one. This linkage adjusts the pedal position. This adjustment feels pretty good to me. I want the pedal to go just a little bit lower though. So I'm going to unscrew this rod one turn, and that'll make the linkage longer and the pedal go lower. When I push in the clutch to change gears, I don't want to hit the brake accidentally. I adjust the length of that rod, so I have to push my toe forward a little bit to get to the brake position. If you're accidentally pushing on the brake all the time, make your linkage longer. And if you think you have to push too far to get to the brake, make your linkage shorter. Alright, I'm going to bend this cotter pin. If I bend the right leg, it'll stick out past the casting. So I'm just going to bend this one leg up and leave it like that. This is the air cleaner for that tractor. It's in pretty good shape. The outer cover just needs cleaned up. This back plate has the usual screw holes that are bulged out. Need to flatten those. And the stud's bent. I got this round steel bar held up in a vise, and I'm going to use it as an anvil to flatten out the area around these mounting holes. The middle area of this part is deformed, and it's because this air inlet area is mounted solidly to the carburetor, and then something hit the air cleaner and bent that part in the middle. So I want to get that area flat again. This ring stamped around the outside is the strongest area on this part, so I'm going to support it on that and hit it in the middle. This part here is a little bit deformed, so I need to flatten that. Now this stud appears to be a little bit bent. If you put a nut at each end of this stud, it gives you a place to grip it without damaging the threads. Yeah, that was too much. Gotta move it back a little. This is the new filter element I got for it. It's made by Stens. They're still available. Looks like it's the right size. This tab on top here is meant to hold the filter element in place while you put the cover on. Alright, that's a pretty nice unit. I'm going to spray these down with WD-40 just like everything else on this tractor. But I'm not going to wait overnight this time. The wire wheel didn't fit inside this cover here, so I'm going to use the WD-40 to clean it out. And I'll go ahead and wipe all this off. The old screws were pretty boogered up, so I got some new screws with lock washers. And I'm going to put this base on here. The filter element hangs on this tab. This here should be a wing nut. I might change it later. Well, that looks pretty good there. I think I'm ready to work on the hood. This is what it looks like. It doesn't really have any rust problems, but it's got some dents in it. And this bottom section where it mounts in the front's tore up. So I need to cut that bracket off of there and fix the hood and put a new bracket on it. I'm going to start working on this in the next video, because it's going to take some time to get it done. Probably more than one video. Alright, that's it.